It's here, it's here, it's finally here. It's summer. Now that it finally is summer, at least hopefully for you, it's summer for me, there are a couple of things that all teachers, but especially elementary music teachers, because that's mostly who I talk to, but all teachers should do over the summer. So let's talk about those things that you should all be doing over the summer. Here we go. All right, the first thing that you should do over the summer, although it doesn't have to be the first thing like chronologically, is to reflect on the school year. Now I'm gonna be honest, I kind of don't want to reflect on this particular school year because it has been a disaster. But that's all the more reason why it's important. Reflecting on the school year gives you a sense of closure for the year, and it also helps you to really review your teaching practice and see kind of how you could do better, things that you would change, and all of that stuff. Whether you've been teaching for 1 year or for 30 years, there's always areas of improvement. So the more often you can think, what are things I did well? What are things I could do better? The better your teaching is going to be, even if that's the only thing you do. I think, what could I do better? Because it brings it to the forefront of your mind. This is not to be like oh, I'm seeing them horrible, but just really critically think like, what is an area I could improve on that I would do better? You know, what are things that I didn't like that I did? And things that I really did like, because sometimes you'll sit down and you'll have forgotten all those really fun lessons that you did or those moments that you had. And so sitting down and just reflecting over the year really helps to remember what was good and also think about those things that you might want to change in the future. So I always do this actually on my YouTube channel, so I will link down below a couple of videos. I think they're out. I switched YouTube channels a while ago, so they might not be here. Anyway, this is something that I actually do pretty much every year, and so I think by the time this comes out, the reflections for this year will already be out. So I will leave a link to them below so that you can follow like the exact questions that I usually go through. But a couple of questions that you could use to help you reflect would include just describe the school year. That's a really good place to start if you're like, I don't know what to do. Just describe the school year. Like pretend like you're talking to someone and just tell them how it was. A disaster, that's how it was, but you know, regardless. Number 2 is, what are my overarching feelings? So like, was I super overwhelmed? Did I actually feel pretty happy? Was I doing pretty well? How did you feel throughout the school year? Did I achieve my goals for the school year if I set them at the beginning of the year? If you didn't, then obviously just skip that one. What are things that could have gone better that I would like to change next year? So that's your opportunity to decide like, oh, I didn't like that. Let's not do it again, so that you don't get to that point in the school year and be like, oh, I forgot I didn't want to do that. Now I don't have any other options. But what will I keep the same? So things that worked really well. What are things I want to change? What are things I need to start doing? And what are things I need to stop doing? Those are really easy ones to just have those quick like, what should I do? What should I not do? And obviously you don't have to use all of those questions, but it's a couple of questions you can use. All right, number 2 things all the teachers should do this summer is get some rest. I don't know about you, but this year has been exhausting. Seriously, I slept until like 11 on the first Saturday of break. And my husband was like, you must be tired. And I was like, this year has been exhausting. And he was like, you're gonna catch up on all your sleep for the whole school year in one night? I was like, yes. Not really, but you really do need to get some rest and allow your body and your brain and your mind and everything to just have a freaking break, because you definitely need it this year in general, but every year. It's been cracking me up because people are like, teaching online is so hard. Teaching hybrid is so hard. And I'm like, teaching is hard. Like, it's always hard. It's a little differently hard now, but it's always been hard. So like, it's not anything new. So even if you're watching this not after the 2021 school year, teaching is always hard, and you always need a break over the summer. So take an actual real life break. Even like, I have a really hard time doing this. I'm not gonna lie. I cannot sit still. I cannot stop doing things, and I just create more businesses, and it's just a whole thing. So I actually have to be super intentional about putting things on my calendar that will allow me to take a break. So like yesterday, one of the things on my to-do list was go to the pool, because I knew I needed to go to the pool because I wanted to go to the pool, and I need that rest, I need that break, I need that just like enjoyment to have fun. And so if I don't put it on there, then I might not do it. Putting it on your to-do list makes it feel more like you have to. Or, you know, putting it on your calendar and just saying like, this day I'm gonna do whatever it is just for me so that I can rest. All right, then third thing that I think all teachers should do is set a couple of goals for the next year. Now you can do this during your reflecting time, or you can do it later on. I like to do it like right before school starts, but just pick a couple of things that you do want to work on this next school year, the upcoming school year. This could be anything from you want to do better with assessments, or you want to do better with differentiation, or you want to add more centers, or you want to be less stressed. Whatever it is that you want to do, like just pick 1, 2, maybe 3. I would say no more than 3 goals for this next school year that you kind of want to work on, just those areas of improvement. Because again, you can always improve, even if you've been teaching for 30 years or for 1 year or for 10 years. There's always places that you can get better. So just look at those things that you can do that will help you get better, and also enjoy your job more, because when you're growing, you'll enjoy it more. You'll have something you're working towards. So a couple of things that you could do if you're like, I don't know what goals I want to do. You could play more games, work on your sequences, figure out how to assess better, work on classroom management, teach new instruments. By the way, I teach music. You can try, you know, different components of a new style, read a book about a different style of teaching and see if you can incorporate that into your teaching. Or you can incorporate more history or science or things like that that might get neglected, or increase engagement, or have better self-care habits so you don't lose your brain over the school year. There's so many things that you can do that are areas of improvement. Maybe you just want to leave school on time, or maybe you want to get to school on time. Like, all of those things are goals that you can work on this next year. So just pick 1, 2, maybe 3, no more than 3 to work on. In the past, a couple of things that I have done are things like working on assessment and really figuring out how I want to do that, working on differentiation, working on centers. That was a big goal of mine a couple of years ago. Once you make your goals, don't just stop there, but actually make a plan for how you're going to implement them. So if you're like, I want to do more centers, a couple of things you might need to do for centers is figure out like what the heck you do during centers. Figure out your classroom management strategy during centers. Like, how are you actually gonna like functionally have the kids move and all that kind of stuff. What are you going to have the kids turn in? Like, if you're gonna have them turn something in, I always have them turn something in during center, so I make sure they actually were working. And maybe like schedule out and decide like, okay, the 3rd week of every month we're gonna do centers, or something along those lines, so that you actually have it like down on the schedule. But make sure you like have your goal and then figure out what you're gonna do. Now, those are the 3 things that I'm like, everybody should do over the summer. These are a couple of things that you could do over the summer, but they're not as important as those first 3. So those are like the important, like you must do's. These are more like, you could do them if you want. So optional ideas for what to do over the summer. The first would be to take a book. Take a class or read a book. So there's tons of online courses that you can do now, which makes it so easy to take classes. So you can take a course on pretty much anything. You could do it through a school, you could do, obviously you could do like your master's, or you could do a different certification program. So like, I teach elementary music, so I'm actually doing my Kodai certification level 1 this year, and so that's like a pretty big thing. But there's also other things that you can do, like smaller courses that you can figure out just from like a quick Google search and just look up whatever it is that you want to work on. If you want to work on like classroom management, whole brain teaching would be what I would suggest. And they have a free online course that you can take, so I will link that down below if you're working on classroom management or just increasing engagement and participation. Whole brain teaching, I highly recommend for those, and again, free. Now, you might also want to read a book. Books are really great because they're slightly like less high maintenance than a course, and the one thing I like about books is that you have to read them kind of slowly, so it gives the information more time to like sink into your brain rather than watching like 17 different videos. So a couple of my favorite books, if you're like, I want a book about teaching but I don't know where to start, here's a couple of my favorites. All right, so these are in no particular order and they're kind of all over the place, but a couple of things that I would recommend. Classroom management for art, music, and PE teachers. There's also a version that's not for art, music, and PE teachers, so if you're not one of those, you can check that out, by Michael Willinson. It's a really quick read and it's very practical. If you've been around this channel, you might know I do not like things that are not practical. I cannot stand those PDs where you go and like you leave and you're like, I didn't learn anything. I want like, give me all the tips. And this is a really good book for it. Give me all the tips. Really great, highly suggest. And I work at a rather tough school, so if I suggested it, it's worth looking into. Also by Michael Linson is The Happier Teacher Habits. This is also a super practical, super quick, just like different habits that teachers have. And I thought it was gonna be stupid, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I don't know why I'm buying this, it's probably dumb. But it was really good and really helpful, and a lot of things I hadn't thought about and have implemented and make like a huge difference. There's 11 according to the back. Highly recommend, link below. The End of Molasses classes. If you are looking to upgrade your engagement, I would highly recommend this one. It's by Ron Clark, the founder of the Ron Clark Academy. If you haven't learned about that, go look it up. But it is so much fun. 101 revolutionary and classroom tested ways to uplift, educate, and empower. And there's just a lot of really interesting things that I never thought of. Each one is super quick. They're easy things, well, not easy, but they're things that you can implement into your classroom, and just like principles, ideas, and like highly recommend. So good, so good, so good. On a slightly different note, for white folks who teach in the hood, this is a, oh, and the rest of y'all too. This is by Christopher Emdin, and this is a really good book. I would say for anyone, because no matter where you teach, you have students who are from lower income areas, and I actually do teach in the hood. So this is a really good one for myself, but also for other people. And it just talks really simply and really strategically about how you can help just do your best teaching when you are not from where your kids are from, is really what it boils down to. And yeah, I would definitely recommend this one. The next one is Teach Like a Champion. This is by Doug Lemov, I don't know. This is by Doug, and this is a really good, again, like lots and lots of strategies for everything. Teaching so that students understand, helping them learn, engaging students. Like, it's really good for just like, this is what master teachers do, basically. They went through and they like researched and found all these different master teachers, and this is what they learned from them, and this is what I would suggest to you. All right, the next two I don't have in front of me, but for my music teachers, Making Each Moment Count, Time Savers Tips and Kid Tested Strategies for Music Class by Cheryl Lavender is a really good one for just making sure that you make every minute count. But it's got like really specific strategies that you can use to teach your kids and just really get them engaged and learning like every single second, because we have like this much time, and so we need every little second. And yeah, so I would definitely recommend that one. And the last one that I thought I had here, but I don't know where I put it, is Whole Brain Teaching, the book. So I read the book, and then I also did the course like at the same time, and I highly recommend that you read the book, because even if you take the course, the book just gets a little more deep into things. But Whole Brain Teaching is a whole theory of teaching that uses the whole child's brain, and it just really dives deep into engagement and getting kids to actually retain the knowledge and enjoy class, because it's all about getting the kids involved and engaged and actively learning. And I highly, highly, highly recommend it to anyone who's struggling with getting the kids engaged, getting them to retain things, classroom management, even because when they're more active, they have less time to act up, and all of that stuff. Now, I am gonna give a shameless plug to my book, because this is my YouTube channel, so I can do whatever I want. So last year I published the book, The Happier Teacher Life, by myself, Rebecca Elizabeth Davis. And this book is very, very, very practical strategies for self-care to just help you have a happier life and less stress life. Like, that is the whole goal, is that you have less stress through reading this book. So we talk a lot about mindset, we talk about habits, we talk about just different things that you can implement in order to make sure that you're not as stressed. And this has been, this thing schooled me, because I wrote it in 2019, and then the world did what it did. And so this past year, as I was editing and getting it ready, and then even once I published it, anytime I started to feel stressed, I was like, Becca, you need to go through the book and figure out what you need to do, because like you literally wrote the book. And it was super helpful, even just like for me having already read it because I wrote it, but to go through and I'd be like, okay, here's what I need to do, this is what I need to work on, and it just really helped. All of these are available on Amazon, so I'll link them all down below. All right, next up for optional ideas is you can plan for next year. Now, I don't always do this, and like last year I didn't do it at all, and this year I probably won't do it at all. But sometimes I get a little bit stressed out about next year, and one thing that helps me is to start planning, because if I have an idea of what I'm gonna do, then I'm less stressed about it because I have a plan, and I'm like, okay, I'm not like just shooting in the dark, and I at least kind of know what's going on. So things that you could do would be long-term planning, so deciding like what concepts you want to teach when, if you do not have a like sequence from your district, like I don't, they're just kind of like, here's some standards, go for it. So I have to decide, you know, this is when we're teaching this and that and the other, and I have to do a whole new one this year because COVID made us all go really behind. So we're starting different ones than we normally do, but it's fine, it's gonna be fine. And so long-term planning is a great thing that you can do. Another thing that's really helpful is lesson collecting. So especially for new teachers, or if you're just like bored by how you've been teaching things, just taking the summer to really like find ideas that are fun, that you enjoy, that you want to do, makes like all the difference in the world. So that was something I did a lot, like when I was my first couple of years of teaching. Now I'm kind of like, yeah, I've already got it. Now, not that I have all the lessons, but I've, you know, at least got a couple of years worth of lessons down, so I have a few things to choose from, so it's like gives me less anxiety than it used to. But it used to be really, really helpful that I would like collect different ideas and look for different ideas throughout the summer. Another thing you can do is dream about your classroom. Some people are really into like classroom decor. I'm not one of them, but I do have, you know, like my whole classroom set that I did that's all like map theme, everything matches. So I did that, and I'm going to continue to keep it because your girl's not about that life. But I know some of you like to change your classroom themes every year and do different things like that. So now is the time to think about what you might want. Search on TPT for fun classroom packs. Maybe look for things at, you know, Goodwill and at Michael's, and see if you can find whatever it is that you're after. If you want plants or lemons or llamas, I don't know, but whatever it is that you want for your dream classroom, and now is the time to think about it. If you do need a little help, I will leave a link to my classroom tour down below in case you just want a couple of ideas. Again, I'm not like the classroom decoration queen, but it's neat and tidy, and there's lots of organizational hacks for you there. And now this last one is for my music teachers especially, and that is practice. Just like your teachers always told you, and how you tell your kids that they should. I don't know about you, but I have a really hard time practicing my instruments when it's the school year. I say it's because I don't have time, but I mean really it's because I'm just tired. But over the summer you have plenty of time, so no excuses. Go practice your instrument or learn a new one. Maybe you want to go learn ukulele because it's fun. Maybe you want to do world drumming because it's fun. You can do that. Like, you're allowed to do music just for fun, and doing that actually helps you be a better teacher for the kids. So go practice, just like you tell your kids. All right, friends, so those are 3 things that you should do and 3 things that you might want to do this summer. I would love to know what your thoughts are. What are things that you do every summer? What are things that you don't do over the summer? Let me know down below in the comments, and I can't wait to find out. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.